The Accreditation Commission for Community Colleges is the only entity in California that accredits community colleges. They provide them with a monopoly, and California community colleges with no other options to receive their accreditation, so they have to go through this accreditation commission. Any community colleges that loses its accreditation as a result of this group loses access to federal and state funding for their students. The stakes are high and the Commission's power is absolute. Unfortunately for our community colleges, it appears this Commission has been having problems with their directions and authority. And we have many numerous examples. Senator Nielsen and I believe it is imperative that the Commission be audited by our state auditor. We have many questions only our state auditor can find answers for, and we urge your audit approval. And I'd like to point out that we since the last meeting, at your direction, we accommodated the reduction of the audit expenditures. Thank you. I'll turn it over to my colleague, Senator Nielsen.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Chairman Gray and members of the Joint Legislative Audit Committee. This request for audit is applicable to the situations related to all community colleges in California to ensure fair and equal treatment for all community colleges in California. The ACCJC is a non-state agency. It doesn't have accountability standards, or rather they are unrestrained and defined by themselves. The practices are supposed to be reviewed every 5 years. But by the Commission's own admission, it uses self-evaluation and assessments to hold itself accountable. I would argue that is not acceptable. That was kind of one of the first red flags, coupled with the complaints that we'd received, Senator Bell and I, throughout California from various community colleges. The director of the accreditation for the Department of Education has taken action against this commission based on their lack of transparency, not having clear and effective controls against conflicts of interest. They have found that there's a bias and faulty process in selecting commissioners. And most concerning to me is noncompliance with the United States Department of Education regulations and the manipulation of outdated regulations by ACCJC attorneys to prevent public disclosure of documents. This gave credence to our concerns. There are a number of issues that then gave credence to Senator Bell and mine concerns and credit for our request of this audit. Senator Bell and I met with President Barbara Beno in my office. In all my career, in my thousands of meetings with agency individuals, representatives, secretaries, etc., I have never dealt with a more arrogant, condescending, and dismissive individual in their response to Senator Bell and I. Now, that does not give us comfort that all is well in how they're treating our California community colleges. That attitude reflected in such a senior person raised huge red flags for me. But even more troubling, and we requested a lot of information, Senator Bell and I had previously and formally requested and did in person in this meeting in the office. 3 days after a meeting with these individuals from ACCJC, President Beno released a commission statement, of which I have a copy here, telling commissioner members of the evaluation team to shred confidential documents regarding personal notes, self-evaluation, team reports, committee reports, and evidentiary documents provided by an institution. Shredding of documents. You talk about red flags, ladies and gentlemen. That certainly is one. What have they got to hide? And what have we got to accomplish to ensure that our community colleges, all in California, are fairly treated? And the most important fundamental, and agencies all over government today are out of control in this regard, moving ahead, imposing things on the citizens of California and the agencies of California without statutory or regulatory authority to do it. Every agency does it. And here's an example of one who I argue has exceeded its authority, and we would respectfully request this audit.
Thank you very much. Thank you to the two senators, too. Specifically for City College, we're in a great state of emergency and crisis with the accreditation process as it happened. While we are very accommodating to some of the constructive criticisms, recently the Department of Education upheld some of our recommendations where the accreditation process is not only guilty of no transparency and limited accountability, but also conflict of interest with the director, Ms. Beno. So the thing that kills me the most is that we have a treasure here. And it is very special to San Francisco because there's such a diversity represented in the City College, and the path of advancement for many disenfranchised people, whether they be Latino, African American, the homeless, LGBT, transgender. Fortunately, they're adults, so they can't be pulled out of school. And so what we're seeing is a diminishment in the in enrollment. And of course, when the enrollment goes down, then the school gets in even more trouble. And the reason the enrollment is going down is because of the maladroit application of the accreditation process. I'm not going to say the word corrupt, but it is a word that has been thrown around. So this, to me, is a very, very important step. I think my good colleague, Senator Nielsen, and I very seldom agree on issues, but he is 100% right on that issue, and I hope that doesn't hurt him with the constituents if they say I agree with him in Arcadia. But I would really strongly recommend an aye vote on this audit. It really is a matter of life and death for a lot of our young people.
Thank you, Assembly Member Amiano.